Good evening everyone. We've all dreamt about getting away from it all, just leaving the world behind and escaping into a new one on our own terms. Only most of us wouldn't expect that world to be filled with back-breaking hardship and unceasing danger. Well, with the use of forbidden eldritch knowledge, you too could face the same fate as our subject today. This time we'll be taking a look at Wilson from Don't Starve. Wilson Percival Higsbury, known most often as simply Wilson, is a scientist in his early 30s who usually dresses in a white shirt covered with a red waistcoat and black trousers. He has a highly distinguishable hairstyle of which he is very proud and protective, appearing almost like 3 horns sprouting from his head, and he is able to grow an impressive beard which he is less attached to. A scientist by trade, Wilson is not particularly good at his profession, but forges on regardless, believing that he'll conquer all through the power of his mind. While on the face of it, Wilson appears to be quite an enigmatic and mysterious individual, and while the former may be true, he in fact seems to be relatively straightforward in his nature, aspiring to much more than he ends up achieving. Apparently living alone in his remote home, Wilson undertakes various experiments to further the cause of science, but most often fails in these attempts, becoming somewhat disillusioned until his next bizarre idea. His dreams of scientific advancement would seem to come true late one night after another failed experiment, when his radio would inexplicably offer him forbidden knowledge and direct him to build a mysterious machine. Overcome with excitement at the prospect, Wilson would not question the unusual situation and follow the radio's instructions, finally activating the machine upon its request. Unfortunately, the whole situation seems to have been orchestrated to take advantage of Wilson's desperation by Maxwell, the individual controlling the other world known as the Constant. The machine would apparently bridge the world somehow and allow shadow hands to reach through and pull Wilson into the Constant to eventually replace Maxwell as its host. Judging from his attire, Wilson appears to originate from the late 19th to early 20th century, apparently a similar time to everyone else stranded in the Constant, and despite repeatedly failing at his scientific ventures, is known as the gentleman scientist in that world. This could simply be due to the fact that he's more versed in scientific theory from his misguided adventures, or that the forbidden knowledge that was granted was not exclusive to the construction of the machine that brought him into the Constant. Interestingly enough, he does appear to be considerably skilled at medicine, healing his fellow castaways with great efficiency. Given that it's said that Wilson found life at university too restrictive, it could be postulated that he was initially studying medicine, but despite being good at it, decided to drop out and pursue his real passion. Furthermore, it's stated that Wilson hates formal parties, so given the relative time he originates from, and that he lives alone in a large house, and attended university, something only possible for the wealthy at the time, it could be supposed that Wilson grew up in high society to some extent, attending formals in his youth, and guided into becoming a doctor of high standing by his parents, only for Wilson to rebel against their desires and attempt to forge his own path in the world. While it may seem a relatively minor characteristic, other than being magnificent in its own right, Wilson's beard offers some significant advantages, as well as drawbacks, when attempting to survive in the Constant. During cold weather it can provide additional insulation, allowing Wilson to stave off the cold for longer than most others, but in hot weather it causes Wilson to overheat much quicker than he otherwise would. When shaved off though, the hair can be utilised simply for campfire fuel, or more impressively, to create what is known as a meat effigy, a voodoo doll of sorts that allows the person who created it to reincarnate when they have been mortally wounded. Whilst surviving the dangers of the Constant and becoming its future host and leader, albeit temporarily, Wilson is effectively just a man, and a man who has relatively few achievements to show at that. He does, however, have a glorious head of hair and is capable of growing a magnificent beard, worthy of even the greatest woodsman, so for that alone he has gained a notoriety of at least moderate. Sure, he may have overcome the Constant and survived everything it could throw at him, while I probably would have just curled up in a ball and died, but honestly some of the other survivors have some really cool skills that just outdo Wilson in every single possible way. Not that it's anything personal. Anyways, please subscribe for more course content and become a patron to suggest your own lecture topics and support the course. Now have a great day, and don't trust what the radio tells you to do. You know, even when it's not telling you to build mysterious machines using forbidden cosmic knowledge.